Hello and welcome to an amazing webinar today where we have the team from iPullRank and you have me, Jeff Coyle, the co-founder, chief strategy officer for MarketMuse, and the lead product owner for GrepWords, a subsidiary of MarketMuse. We have a great team today. We're going to talk about what GrepWords is, and we're going to go through some amazing use cases that the team from iPullRank has shown how to revolutionize your keyword research, revolutionize the way that you do things you probably didn't know were possible with keyword data. Walking through who's joining us today, but first a little housekeeping. Ask us anything. If you ask us anything that's relevant in line, we may get to it. Ask us the questions. If you have any questions specifically, we may answer them as we're talking, as we're going. If it's anything that's like a little bit off the narrative, we'll stack it at the end. We'll do a Q&A. Please get into it. Ask us specific details. If there's anything we can't answer here, we'll compile it and send it along with the archive and the replay, which is a great segue for me to say, you're going to get this replay in the next couple days. So please look for it. While you're at it, both teams from iPullRank, MarketMuse, and GrepWords, at all of our sites, we have so many pieces of materials, documents, archived webinars. Go check them out. Download a few of them. Really some amazing content across both of our networks. All right, now the fun stuff, intros. The founder and managing director for iPullRank is Mike King. Everybody knows Mike King. If you're on Twitter and you don't know anything about SEO, thank you for joining us, Mike.
Thanks for having me. Very excited to be here.
For sure, for sure. SEO engineer. He's going to be leading our presentation today, walking through some of the amazing things that Mike, Colt, and John have built with GrepWords. Colt Silva.
Thank you.
All right.
Also known as Colt Sleva.
Yeah, all right.
Right, that's what I said, right? No, I didn't say that. I said it totally wrong. And then John Murch is joining us as Director of Software Engineering from iPullRank. Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. So quickly, I'm just going to highlight what GrepWords is. All right. GrepWords is a API-first platform that focuses on getting you keyword data. Our goal is that everyone will have access to information to be able to build and become makers, whether it's internally or you're building software applications. We power a number of the largest software platforms and applications, plugins, really anything where you need keyword information, ideation, search engine results page data. We just did a major relaunch. We rebuilt this platform from the ground up to be able to be scalable for no matter what type of application you're looking to do. What is also coming, and as we'll get into it, we have a number of brand new endpoints that are going to be rolling out over 2022 that are going to kind of blow your hair back. But high level, we're a massive keyword database. Updated keyword database, this number at 5 billion, it's already 7 billion. It's going to be in the 10 billions very, very soon. We're continuously adding to this. We have country level data and language data. You can grab this as a PDF on our site with a full list of language country combinations. One unique aspect of GrepWords is that we can deliver bespoke data offerings. So if you have a specific need, if you want, we just shipped a 1 billion keyword database to somebody this morning that was specific to what they needed. If you have something that you need that it would be easier for you to get as a data deliverable. So can you shoot this to our, S3 account in a, massive scale data dump, whether that is keyword data, whether that's SERP data, or maybe, ask us, we might have it, some other data we can get you. We provide 3 endpoints in the core offering, the one you can come in, buy, sign up, start using today. The keyword lookup function, we get you related keywords, which has different types of parameters for things like phrase match or other types of match types. You can control how much content is returned, how many related keywords are returned, and a few other factors. We're going to be adding functionality to that as well. So you can pull massive scale keyword lists, related keywords, as well as search results data. Our search results data is really, really exciting. The data structure is beautiful. So if you do this a lot, you get a lot of like weird data structures. You get ones that are really, really well organized. I love how we organize the SERP features. We're going to be adding functionality there. And then also the main rankings on that page, so that top 100 ranking results. Last, we're going to talk about our market intelligence reports. These have yet to be released in public, but we have delivered some internally. I'll get into some of those use cases when we get there. So, quick handoff to Colt. Get us started on these use cases. It's going to really be an exciting show, and thank you for putting this together in all of these ways that people use marketing or use grep.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Thank you for introducing that. Yeah, so we were relying heavily on the keywords and related keywords APIs here with our exploration. We are going to show some really awesome stuff that we just sort of took internally and did some quick brainstorming on and built rapidly. And so really a lot of that thought process came from keywords are more than just strings, and we can do a lot with this data, especially when it's at the size of 5 billion, 7 billion, 10 billion keywords. That's a lot to play with. So use case number one, I'm going to hand over to John. This is search query volume in Google Search Console. So, what if we had a more complete picture in Google Search Console?
Thanks, Colt. So basically we took the grepwords keywords lookup, built a proxy endpoint, a simple Heroku app that's able to fetch that on our behalf, and then created a bookmarklet that was able to inject the volume, search volume and CPC data directly into Google Search Console. So this way you can see side by side your data as it relates across the industry.
Yeah, so just to give some more context on this, we're all in GSC every day. We see all these wild keywords and so on, and you don't really have context of what the opportunity potentially is for that keyword. So having that right there in Search Console, I think, is a game changer, because otherwise you got to dump it out. You got to go to another source. You got to do all the VLOOKUPs and so on, but it's right there. You can make some, what's the word? Choices right away, right there in GSC.
I think
if you imagine how people are modifying this data for their own use and prioritizing. I mean, this is, like you said, it's giving that information. Plus, you go to 15 different platforms, you're going to get a lot of times 15 different data sets for this type of information when they are modified away from the source using things like clickstream or impression data. So having your own GSC information here is just, it's a lightsaber. So what were you saying, Colt? Sorry.
I really like that we have CPC here right up front. It gets pretty clear to evaluate sort of what SEO efforts would cost if it was advertising. So you can clearly see 1 million clicks at $2.50 each would get fairly expensive.
Yeah, I mean, pay-per-click replacement value is such an important data point for any content strategist or search engine optimization professional. Being able to say, if I had to go buy the traffic that this page is producing, here's what it would cost. I mean, it's a great way of doing ROI if you're not comfortable only using your in-house work.
So here's basically the example showing in Google Search Console. The way this works is through a bookmarklet, and then, as I said, a Heroku app that's proxying the request to grepwords. This is needed due to cross-scripting basically CORS issues within Google, and they also require trusting their HTML, which was fascinating. But you basically open up your standard Google Search Console. You can click the bookmarklet, and it will inject the content there. And the next slide, I'll actually give you the code to be able to do all of this. And so it's basically just a bookmarklet. You can go onto GitHub right now and download the code. You'll need the grepwords API key. And then I also suggest and show in the code there's a keyword limit. I would suggest making a 25, 100, and 1,000. This became extremely useful because since this is done live, it takes a little while to fetch all that data and circle through them. You can also sort and filter within Google Search your impressions and clicks and then fire the bookmarklet. So this way, if you sort by the top impressions and then click the bookmarklet, it will then pull those terms at the top. And then if all else fails, you just refresh Google Search Console and click the bookmarklet again.
So that's pretty accessible to everyone, right? Like you just dump that into your browser bar, your bookmarks, and then when you want it, you click it.
Yeah, so this is kind of interesting. Basically, you just have a standard Node script that's doing the request server side, and then this is just client side JS that's adding content to the page. Google Search Console does give you a warning in the console. Be aware. The idea here is that you would basically be owning the endpoint and the bookmarklet, so you shouldn't be concerned about nefarious issues. But that data does get passed through.
And obviously,
Awesome.
you need to add your API key from your GrepWords account. Yeah, so
Exactly.
you're not using John's.
No, definitely not.
All right, so the next use case is keyword time activated peaks, which is some great phrasing that we've invented over here at the Big Ideasatorium. So we're calling that KTAPs. And the idea here is that search volume is dynamic. It's not just a flat line. Our data is not stagnant, and seasonality is a huge part of everything that we do, especially content production. So getting content live, linked, and crawled ahead of a peak season is an optimal way to strategize and implement this. So if we can get our content out the door based on these keywords and that research, then that is extremely valuable. So introducing KTAPs. John, do you want to talk about what you built a little bit? Oh, sorry, this is still my slide. So if you don't learn from history, you're bound to repeat it. And luckily, GrepWords is giving us this history data with every query. So they'll give you the last 12 months of data of search volume history. And then with this, we can contextualize, visualize, and take action on our content production around keywords and topics.
Yeah, Colt, they actually give more in some cases, some of the yearly data. I was actually surprised at how far back certain keywords went on some of the data. But basically what you're seeing here is a screenshot of Google spreadsheet. So I created an app script that hits that same proxy endpoint to basically proxy the request. And then I'm able to create a Spark line and showcase the monthly search volume and the month. In this case, I filtered for 2021. And it was also interesting to see, so in the third example here, you have November's data. So November hasn't gotten filled in the other keywords, but I'm sure that they will over time. And it's pretty exciting and kind of simple to see. And that code is also on the same repo, and you can get full access to that. You just need to set up an endpoint. You're good to go.
Go bother your developers. Get them these tools. They're extremely handy.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. So here's a kind of handmade gift of it. So I'm basically going to put in a keyword. So in this case, it'd be SEO. And then I just copy and paste the common Sparkline code. The first parameter is data, so it'll just be the next 12 or so rows, and then setting up the bar. And then finally, I just create, as I said, a function search volume. It's an app script, and then that does the fetching from the proxy, and then passes that data back in and fills out the spreadsheet. So as you can imagine, being able to just put in a bunch of keywords, fire off these requests, and being able to see that data populate. There we go.
Should do a
I also highlighted.
Yeah, ta-da. I know what I wanted to highlight, and it's actually relevant to one of the questions that's already come in, is this is the same technology that is used in MarketMuse inventory if you are a premium user, or standard in our keyword research application. So, this is just bringing it to you in data form, and it's just really cool to see kind of a similar Sparkline implementation in this type of format. So, yeah, for observation, I know there's a number of people just by the questions that have come in that are related to that. So.
Oh, so you're saying you don't need the developer to get on this if you go use MarketMuse? Is that what you're implying, Jeff?
You can do both. You get the best of both worlds. I'm all about best of both worlds in this case, you know.
No, we always appreciate data providers providing open data, making it accessible. That's awesome.
It's just such a simple implementation and elegant.
So for me, I got most excited about the related queries or the related keywords. I think that there's a ton of value there for keyword ideation and just sort of walking through research. But as we sort of discussed earlier, especially with the Google Search Console information, we start our research sort of as like humans looking at information, and we can't process a billion rows with our eyeballs. So we need to sort of put this into some sort of format that we can read, digest. So you don't know what you don't know. You're never going to be able to just pick keywords out of the top of your head. You're going to need this data. So first I went and hit the related keywords API and got back, I started with 50 keywords, but you can scale that way up. And then I would realize that, hey, we could take our root keyword, generate related keywords, and then generate related keywords for those related keywords. And you could basically keep going down a tree. So we do that recursively a couple of times, and you are comprehensively covering a set of topics that can sort of branch out and expand. So that's really what this would end up looking like, is as you recursively iterate, the branches look like the previous branches, but are a little bit different each time. And that can be a great visualization. So we take those keywords and put them into a tree data structure. That ends up looking like a big mush of data, but we can then turn that into explorable data. So I took all of that sort of code and dumped it into a d3.js visualization where you could then shrink down keywords that were expanded, merge them together if they're similar, or sort of shift them around to figure out what you want to write content on. And we could sort of grow this and apply this to by adding the keyword volume data, maybe changing the size of the notes. Like there's a ton of opportunity here with visualizations like this. This gives you so much more context than just, you know, using run-of-the-mill tools that aren't necessarily providing you this information in a format that you can explore. All of these words are,
It's an effective way to figure out topical clusters at scale. You know, obviously there's still some like manual editing that you're doing that you're showing here, but it gets you far closer than, you know, going to one keyword, pulling out the related, sifting through them, and then, you know, trying to bucket them that way. So I really love this as a entry point to doing that type of work.
Yeah, this was fun to play with. It was just fun. So GraphWords sort of helped me find a treasure trove of keywords here. And it was a great way to find trend discovery. So I could see that people were specifically looking for year or country or business vertical. Maybe they were looking for medium or quality, like good content marketing examples. So by being able to zoom in on specific topics, then I could sort of analyze that manually. But there was less, I would say, mental load doing it with a visualization.
Cole, the skill you just showed the world is it's intent abstraction. So when you go through this, when you're doing keyword research of variants, like you're looking at here, you see 2021. What does that tell you? It tells you that looking up a time-bound thing is interesting. A year or India. It's not saying go write about India. It's saying people care about local intent here. And then you have the types of content marketing: e-commerce, ephemeral, fashion. So when you're doing keyword research of a list of variants, abstracting those variants into what those things are gives you that like superpower. And that's what you're showing here. I mean, and that's what we're looking to innovate on that, because it's so important to clusters. I always love when you show someone a list of variants and it says content marketing examples Albuquerque, and they're like, I have to write about Albuquerque? I'm in Boston. It's like, no. It's just saying that there's local intent there. So keep that in mind. And these are very familiar. That's just a beautiful way to describe it the way that you did.
What was that buzzword again, just so I could maybe take a note?
It's intent. It's abstraction for intent, or intent abstraction. Total
that's
buzz.
Nice.
Total buzzword.
Love it. So the next direction that I went with this, again, was clustering, but I wanted to take a little bit of machine learning into this, sort of use the power of BERT, Google's BERT against them. So again, what I did is I queried grep words, pulled out the same set of digital marketing keywords, and then so you end up getting a single keyword in, multiple keywords out, and then with many keywords, we can process that. We can put the data into a format that we can process. So you don't necessarily need to know how BERT works completely. Basically, it'll take a set of words or a word and turn it into a set of numbers. We call those word embeddings. And then at that point, that allows us to do math on it. So it's no longer sort of abstract language, it's mathable. And keywords are phrases normally. So, you can either average those numbers together, or you can do some alternate machine learning work on it. But usually the most easy, quickest way is just to average a set of numbers. And then usually we start with a lot of dimensions. Like we'll think in 2D space or 3D space at most, and these word dimensions have way more than that. So dot product math is the magic sauce that reduces these down. And it's sort of like shining a light on a complex object where you're going to get the shadow out of it. And then that shadow is something that you can interpret at that point. So if you see this sphere here, we can squish it down and then sort of merge all those data points into a single point that we can then draw. So we're decomposing our n-dimensional vectors into 2D, and that lets us graph our words. So here I'm taking the words that that grepwords is spitting out, and I am live clustering them based on their word vectors. And from this, which is pretty fun, we can actually see how clusters are being pulled together from Google's own tool, and see how they come together. So at first you can kind of see that they're disparate, spread out, and then as we get more context from each new one that's added, they start to cluster together, maybe about the Content Marketing Institute, maybe they're trying to define what is content marketing, and maybe other ones are talking about content marketing strategy. And so those clusters sort of start to tell us a story about the overarching topics that we should apply this data to. So what you can do with this is let BERT help inform your information architecture. Using the same technology that Google created to classify intent, we can also help classify intent, and that will help inform us of pillar pages and cluster content. Sorry, Jeff, I stole your graphic here.
I know that graphic really well. No, it's just great to see that the way you described it. A lot of this is coming to our new keyword research solution and similar aspects. And I just wanted to clarify when you said the thing that Google built, you're referencing BERT.
I'm referencing BERT, not word embeddings. Right, exactly. That's been around for a while.
A little bit. Mm-hmm.
It's way better now.
There's a really good question, and I think it required a little clarification. So the question from Adrienne, two things. How are the keywords generated? Is this using Google's autocomplete data? Adrienne's got some really specific ones. Does that mean Market Muse will use Google NLU for its topic modeling? No. So we use our own topic modeling technology for all of this. We have multiple data sources where we've built over the years and with the acquisition of grepwords to build out and expand this database rapidly. That's the answers to your questions. So thanks, Adrian. But when he was describing Google, he was referencing BERT. So.
Yeah, since we were prototyping this stuff on the fly, we just reached for off-the-shelf models that we could sort of display this with. All of this was just built ad hoc in the last week or so. So,
so cool. Wizards you are.
And then I was actually extremely excited about it, so I just threw this in here. Jeff, if you just want to talk briefly about the intelligence reports.
Yeah. So we've shipped a few of these internally, but none of them they're not ready for the software experience. However, what the goal of grepwords is to bring the ability to be a data scientist, the ability to be an industry analyzer to everyone. So if I have an idea for a keyword research study, I'm not reliant on the top 10 SEOs in the world that have done this 50 times to get to get one of those out. Some of them are on this call. So being able to go and say, hey, I only want to look at this collection of sites. I only want to look at this keyword list that I've researched. I only want to look at these particular parameters. And I want to put together an analysis of who the players are with those parameters. So our first go on this is going to be a bunch of canned parameters. It's going to show stuff like particular industries. And then who were the winners. You look at this, it kind of reminds you of G2 Crowd almost, right? Or a Gartner Magic Quadrant. So if you're analyzing, in this case, the top 10 weddings and events players, who's dominating. And the grid here is market share and visibility. These are calculation, these are mathables that to Colt's earlier reference that we invented that cover a collection of things that relate to breadth of coverage, depth of coverage, and then momentum effectively. So you can see how much visibility they have, how much market share. You can see who the players are at each stage and who the people who don't have much in here. This is beautiful for, if you're an agency, show it to a client. You're up and to the right, beautiful on this industry, but not so good here. In a pre-sales construct, also very valuable. To be able to go in and say, yeah, I did all this analysis for every word that you care about. The cool thing about this is in these reports, intelligence about the domains included, as well as the keyword list are all going to be baked into those. So there's going to be a pre-baked set, and then any GrepWords customer is going to be able to ad hoc for customized ones as they come. So those are all things that are coming in the next few months, and I'm so excited about them. So you throw us a million words. It's like build your own, and I won't say the name of them, but most of the places that people quote for data intelligence reports, build your own. That's the goal.
I could name 10 clients right now that would want this, like SEO managers specifically, who want this for C-suite reporting up. Yeah. This would be perfect.
Yeah, and the problem with some of the existing solutions that'll show you your competitive performance or whatever, they're just looking at all the keywords that they have, which are not necessarily the keywords you care about. And based on what you're saying, you can be like, okay, here's the 15,000 keywords we're actually tracking against. Who actually has the most keyword overlap with us, and then where are things performing? So this is incredibly valuable. I'm glad you guys are building this.
Yeah, exactly that. And, in the future, we're going to be, I'll get into some future stuff that we're doing, but we're going to be bringing in more data from our topic modeling technology, as well as, so we have metrics for authority and quality for content. So if you can imagine, we just did 2D to 3D on that previous space to 4D. Imagine the third D there being, content quality, content coverage, authority, our metric for authority, which measures composite of breadth, depth, quality, and comprehensiveness and competitive influences. So all of that stuff has the potential to make it into these intelligence reports in 2022. So yeah, thanks for including them. It's an exciting one.
Adrian asked, are you building a user interface for this or only available programmatically?
For the intelligence reports, they're going to be baked into your GrepWords admin. And then there will be avenues for them to surface also in elements of the new MarketMuse keyword research solution, which launches in beta, parts of it right now, and in 2022. A lot of the things you see here, you'll see flavors of it in that, and that will be open to all MarketMuse paid users.
Awesome.
So keep an eye out for that.
So exciting.
Yeah. The clustering is fun. Not supposed to talk about it, so but it's really cool. This is your implementation is pretty elegant. I love it.
All right, so this request came in, what, like
less
3
than
hours
an hour
ago?
Less than an hour ago.
And John put this together in an hour flat. Mike was like, hey, could I just look up keywords on Slack? Like, I just want a slash command for that. So John, do you want to talk about what your journey was this morning?
Yeah, so basically taking the same kind of proxy endpoint for the keyword lookup, and then basically creating a Slack app, creating a new endpoint, which I then added to the proxy, and then adding a little bit of Slack's magic sauce on how to make it look semi-pretty. So basically just making the request, pulling in the keyword, the search volume, CPC. So the way this works is you just hit /SV, type in the keyword or query, and then it gives it back here. Obviously, I didn't necessarily have time, but to be able to do a related or even a SERP and do the same thing, you can see how powerful this can get. And also super useful when you could just, dump in a bunch of keywords.
Yeah, and the way I looked at it was like, how often does someone say like, oh, we should write a piece of content about this thing? And then your next step is like, okay, is this something that people are actually searching for? So being able to do that within a conversation on Slack, I think would be super powerful to workflows, help you be able to pivot on things like quite quickly. So I was like, yeah, let's see if we can knock this out real quick. And here we are.
I just can't wait to meme with it.
I want this.
All
We were
right.
going to put together a thing that shot back my SERP features too, by the way. That was one. Shot in Slack so I can get, the top 10 ranking pages, SERP features, and other data just by typing them in. So, yeah, fun that you're inspired by the same things that we are, for sure. Awesome.
Well, some of the SERP features, Google just keeps out pumping these newer things like those thumbnails up top. Well, you knew any person's name, any president, you're seeing a massive change in a SERP. And I don't know, I'm excited, but man, it makes things complex.
Yeah. Well, that's actually where if you are using GrepWords and you see a SERP feature that's not included in the SERP output data structure, all you have to do is send in a support ticket and we'll include it in the next iteration. So we've already had, if I told you how many, it's kind of hilarious. I'm pretty sure it's 7 SERP features that were created, and for the first time ever, although if you posted on Twitter, somebody would have seen it like 9 months ago. Inside SEO Twitter joke. If you show a screen, you're like, wow, new SERP feature. Someone's like, I saw this 9 months ago. That's not new, Jeff. But anyway, so we're adding 7 new ones. But if you see any, you're like, I want this one. Very recently, the top end products carousel, scrollable carousel, was a new one. That was just added with the product review update. I believe somebody's going to say you're wrong, Jeff, but that's okay. So those are some things. If you do see any that you want, it doesn't take much for us to tweak our data structure. So
yeah, I've just been amazed.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I was just amazed. I tweeted one out, but like to be able to do a search for like AirPods, it will show you Best Buy, but it won't show you Best Buy. It'll show you Best Buy, the closest Best Buy from the error based on your IP. And then it will tell you if it's in stock. And then it will also tell you if the Best Buy is open based on time of day of where you're doing it. And you're just sitting there in just awe of like, wow, they're really coming through on that one. So,
well, that gets into you cover a lot of these things, but the future of GrepWords, I'll get into some of the things, but the use of SERP data to do information retrieval is really a use case that has so many avenues. Product availability, you just highlighted it. Applications could be built for any of that data, and that's there's a massive set of combinatorics that you can look at. One thing to note, if you are in the weeds on this, the SERP features currently have their VED parameters associated. So if you're familiar with working with those, you can decode them and understand which are parts of the same feature.
Yeah, they're all protobufs. It's weird though.
Right, they are wacky numbers, but they do unify across SERP. So there's a lot of use cases for that. So enjoy that feature. Hopefully we'll have those baked into the main rankings very soon. Some of the things that are coming, which I'll be interested in your guys' feedback on this, because you don't know any of these. We are going to be building out a URL processor. So one of the other goals of GrepWords was to make anybody a search engine creator. And that comes from like my love of building search engines. I built a search engine a vertical search engine platform in 2005. And, since then I've been, I want everybody to be able to build their own search engine. And part of that is processing URLs. So we're going to be able to process any URL and put it into a beautiful, usable data structure. So that's going to be coming. So that's going to be a URL processor endpoint. Some other ones that we look to do are our knowledge graph, so our topic model from MarketMuse. So you actually could take, where you're looking at related keywords to make your cluster, we can start to look at the topic model to say, what are the semantically related concepts? And then also extraction of information from pages. So being able to extract topics, frequent concepts used, and those types of things. So we are effectively looking to give everyone the ability to be not just research scientists, but also natural language processing experts. And those are just 3 of 10 things that are coming next year.
That sounds
It's really
incredibly
cool.
exciting.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
that's definitely something that this industry needs, because there's just such a big gap between what Google is doing and what our tooling allows us to do, which is why there's so many people that have gotten more involved in using Python to build their own things, which is great, but I don't feel it shouldn't be that way, right? Like, we should have more platforms like what you guys have built and what you are building that allow us to do more sophisticated things. And I really appreciate how thoughtful your team has been in thinking through these types of things. Because as an example, there's a lot of tools out there that'll scrape the SERP and extract features and say hey, your page doesn't have these features. But realistically, Google isn't just doing that on one keyword. And this was more Colt's thinking that kind of enlightened me to this. But they're more likely probably doing it across a topic. And so, being able to have more of the data required to understand that is what's really going to allow you to optimize more effectively. So I really appreciate that you guys have been more thoughtful in that regard.
Yeah, one of my dream goals for this was also to look at ways that we can compare data from word to word or bucket of words to bucket of words. And however you bucket everything, right? So concepts like semantic similarity and then SERP similarity are top of mind because Google sometimes doesn't know what the right intent is, and they show a buffet of intents. I call it Google's favorite intent, but they're showing results of this type, early stage awareness, then they've got middle of the funnel. But also sometimes they have to show words that mean different things. It's not just when you write bat, some of them are flying, some of them are swinging, those are different words. That's not an intent, that's meaning, different meanings. So what I'm hoping to do is to be able to show how explicit is your intent and how non-ambiguous is your meaning, and give people that tool. Because that's where, if you can know, how do you get bees out of your garage, right? It's very explicit. There's only one thing you're looking for. But when you just type in, CRM, that could be intent fracture. It could also be meaning you could be looking for that other CRM that doesn't include Salesforce, right? Someone wants an NFT of this picture. Hey, I'll mint it for you. Excellent. So other things, other questions that have come in, any plans on using this for assisting NLG? It's already being used to assist NLG. Our first draft platform leverages all of our technology. And everything, our goal is to roll everything into API endpoints that we're also innovating in MarketMuse. And we're getting there. It's just slow and hard. And to do this at massive scale isn't simple. We've made mistakes along the way, and it takes more time than you might expect. Moving large data structures, even as data deliverables, is not simple. Even someone, hey, just send it over Amazon S3. Okay, are you aware of how much that costs to even move the data? That kind of stuff. It's not really child's play.
It's always moving the data, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which
so those are some
region
good,
of
great
the
questions.
data it is in? Are you moving it from
Input, output.
Virginia to Iowa?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
Right. Cool. So yeah, continue. Those are my big pieces. If you guys have any questions or things that you'd like to see too, I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, what were some other ideas that you had that you didn't get to? I mean, I know John was working on stuff this morning. So.
Vector search. So,
Yep.
you know, if it was already, we already had the word embeddings in your database, then I wouldn't have to convert it. And then you can use nearest neighbor to go grab basically like semantically related, or not semantically, but intent related keywords.
That'd be
So
fire
there's
because it's pre-processed.
That would be
and
fire.
it's so much faster.
Well, the joke there would be we built our own word vectorization system. It's why Market Muse works so well. So we'll have to see what pieces we can bring in. We're not using Word2Vec off the shelf, for example, which is the standard in our space. It has major flaws for SEO, and it causes people to optimize pages wrong. Sorry, but no, and it takes a lot of iterations to find out what those gotchas are, basically, and that's where that's a beautiful idea. I'm loving it. That's on the queue for sure.
I have two products for you. One is Weaviate.
Okay.
It's a 2-year-old search engine using Golang. And then the other one is Google just released, like literally 2 days ago, a vector search engine or a vector database.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Yeah, that's beautiful. Excellent. Well, let's see what other questions we have popping in. Casey, I have a Market Muse premium plan. Congratulations. Will this tie in? You talk to your account manager and you can be put in a situation where you are just paying for your API units if you are a premium customer. So
there's two other things I was going to actually ask you, Jeff. One of them, so on the keyword data, do you plan to integrate like SERP features into the keywords? So like in the keyword payload, I would know what intent those keywords may have.
We actually will likely build out Market Muse intent as an endpoint. So that is one of the endpoints. So Market Muse intent is different than what you might expect. So it not only gives you data about the word, it will give you the level of fracture. So if you look at another intent classifier, it might say informational, even though it's some of the results might be transactional, or it will say informational and transactional, right? We can give you the spread of Google's favorite intent. So 20% this, 30% that, or it's unified. It's not fractured. So we're hoping to bring a bunch of that into an endpoint. So it's percent fracture is kind of where we're trying to go. But yeah, that'll be how we approach that, including the SERP data into keyword. Right now, it's 2 stackable functions. Just pragmatically, they cost different money for us. One's
know the feeling.
more and less. You know. So so you basically, to stack them, it's just it's multiple calls. It's a good question, Casey. I already answered that one.
Simon just asked how often search volume data is updated. Overall, 5 to 7 billion.
We, when at this point, it is a monthly update. When we expand our next motion to go over 10 billion, some percentage of those will not be updated monthly, but it is a small number, less than 30%. But our aim is to be monthly or better.
To be fair, 5 billion's already a lot.
There's only so many seconds in a day, so you just need another server to scale horizontally.
Yes.
I feel like I feel like there'd be so much value in just like analyzing your whole data set for those keywords, like, segmenting them in a variety of ways,
Yep.
kind of showcasing how search demand is changing, kind of using it as like a market research type thing, like the same way that people use Google Trends, but giving you actual numbers.
That's really, really great, astute comment. I think that's what we have to figure out. I think that can be baked into our intelligence initiatives, I think. And I think that's a great idea.
Similar with that. So I've been fascinated by SERP results on very similar queries and what changes, whether it be domain or pages or intent, features. And I don't know better ways to present that data, to like do diffing or other things. So that's something that's been fascinating to me.
Yeah, SERP similarity, how we do it, right? Do you define just a difference in what the results are, the SERP features, how they're different? We've for a collection of our search results, we call it the SERP Vault. We track like diffs in SERP features too. We're trying to figure out where's the pony there in all of those options. So those are really great. We're getting a lot of great questions coming in. Questions research, will that be coming to GrepWords? Yes, it will be an endpoint. Our question analyzer. Our questions. We have a question endpoint that we'll be bringing into this solution. It'll be the same one that's in MarketMuse with some additional value. Sorry, no, continue.
No, I was going to say, one of the other questions about the languages. I was actually surprised at all the different languages you guys support.
Right. Yeah. In GrepWords, there's, I believe it's 90 country level, and then there's a full list of supported country language combinations that's in there, that's available for you. In MarketMuse, we just rolled out Spanish into our applications, and we have the intent to expand to many more languages next year. We do things a lot differently at MarketMuse. We make sure that it's super high quality, and we weren't comfortable releasing page level recommendations using a translator because the recommendations are flawed and very problematic. So if you're using another software product that's translating with DeepL or another machine translation, the impact on your business can be very problematic, and we weren't comfortable doing it until we could build the language models. So we waited, and we're real happy we did. So we held the line. It was painful as people rolled out 70 languages and 80 languages, but in the end, everybody's very exciting. Next year, we just rolled out Spanish in the applications. Inside GrepWords, though, the database, it's all there already. So you can get the languages and locations already there. Awesome questions. French, I know. I wish we had French already. Qu'est-ce que se passe? Would GrepWords be available to MarketMuse dudes that are under the AppSumo deal? You have to purchase, as you do if you are a standard customer. So you can, if you're a standard MarketMuse customer or have some other free offering, or you're in a LTD, you have to purchase GrepWords to have a subscription. Great question. All right. Wow. Lots of great questions. And you've provided access to a number of these things. I saw a GitHub link. Yep. Is the deck going to be available?
You should have the deck, and we should be able to distribute it.
The next slide. Yeah. For sure.
Oh, thank you for leading me there.
Segue.
So yeah, if you go to iPullRank.com/GrepWords, you can find the deck. Mr. Garrett Sussman put this together. I don't know if this comprehensive guide is going to be provided as well. So you might get a 2-for-1. Okay. Yeah.
All the free
I should have read this. It says bonus, level up your audience. But we do a lot of work with marketing personas. It's extremely valuable when paired with your keyword research. I feel like, Mike, since you sort of strategized that, you should talk for a moment about keyword personas.
Read the ebook, do the things, use the GrepWords data. Next slide.
All right.
That's
That's the
awesome.
mic drop.
One thing
us.
I'll mention is on the GrepWords site, there is a custom solutions tab. And this was like not with iPullRank, but we went through all the really cool ways that people are using GrepWords today, and kind of showed them. So that if you've got more ideas. So for example, it says a leading healthcare publisher gets 100 million worldwide custom SERPs every month to monitor their industry. A keyword clustering application cut their data costs by 50%. A market intelligence firm built their own rank tracking SaaS application and brought it in-house. So these are use cases for existing MarketMuse customers, GrepWords customers, with the intent of inspiring. And guys, thank you so much, because I think this presentation is so inspiring. So just really thank you. Please go contact these folks. Follow them on Twitter. Look at everything they're doing, the research, the generosity of the materials that they provide. The quality of their work is the highest in the space. I'm not just blowing smoke. Literally an hour before this webinar, I was talking about it. It's hard to compare. And I see it time and time again with our shared clients, and also in just their customers who rave over the quality of their work. Plus, I mean, I don't know how you can listen to Colt and John and not want to work with these brains. Come on. I mean, and I have a data science team up in Montreal, and this morning I shared this deck with them, and I was like, look at, and some of the comments were pretty hilarious about, like, this is amazing, this is great, who are these folks? Some people are like, who are these guys? And so I was just really excited because John and I have been kind of tossing this around for a long time about what's going to happen when we actually get this thing out, and it's happening right now. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, really excited to see that you guys are kind of like carrying the mantle for GrepWords. I just want to give a shout out to Russ Jones, rest in peace, because I know he started this and he worked with you guys to transition it to where it is, and I really feel amazing about where you're going with it. So that's really awesome to see.
Thanks, Mike. We didn't really get into that, but the 1 minute story is we collaborated with Russ for a long time on GrepWords, and always had the shared vision of making it scalable. 2021 has been a tragic year for a lot of reasons, and when this went out, it was like there's a lot of the vision. It has made it to the page now, so go check it out. It's he's a visionary and someone who really changed our industry. Thanks, Mike.
100%.
All right.
So I think we took questions already, unless you wanted to,
I think we got a lot of great questions in. The last slide shows you exactly where to sign up. Linnea, Alexandra, a couple questions. Just go check out GrepWords. Pricing, sign up. You get an allotment of units, and give it a spin. Thank you so much, Mike. Thanks, Cole. Thanks, John. I really appreciate the time and all the amazing energy. And I look forward to our next collaboration. Thanks again.
Yep.
Me
Thank
too.
you.
It's going to be exciting.